number 88 of Oklahoma County, Oklahoma, to the best of my ability, and that I will faithfully discharge all the duties pertaining to said office and obey the Constitution and laws of the United States and Oklahoma.
Welcome again. So, having sworn in Chad, we now need to reorganize the board. So, tradition's kind of been everybody just step up if you want to do that, and then one of you two become clerk, and I go back to member.
Would you like to be clerk? Would you want to go
Sure.
at it, or
I
do you-
don't know what we're doing, but sure.
Well, I know we just kind of
So
rotate
sure.
up, but you didn't really,
Okay,
so,
whatever. I'll do whatever is
Okay.
asked of me.
okay.
That's fine.
Angela, make a motion.
Okay, make a motion for
Chad to be,
Chad, what, I forget.
I'll
who's
do
what.
it.
Go for
I'll
it.
make the motion. Chad to be president, Kent to be vice president, and you to be clerk.
Okay.
Oh, and you need an assistant clerk, right?
Sure.
You can.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't we
I'll
do-
do
yeah.
that.
So,
Yeah.
Angela,
Sure.
somebody second.
Second.
Roll call.
Who
I
seconded
guess,
it?
and she's
Angela
like, where are we
seconded it.
recording?
Okay, thank you.
In the minutes.
2 years.
It's almost 2 years.
Jaggers,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstone.
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Petty.
Yes. Mr. President, you're now
Right.
running this meeting.
All right.
So you can push leading on your.
Yeah.
It's changing of the guard night. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the consent agenda. Item 3A, approve the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 board meeting. Any questions on that? Okay. Moving along to item 3B, discussion and possible action to approve the following contracts agreements for fiscal year 25. A, all for fun rental contract, elementary, May 20th, and B, BFC facilities use agreement, AP May testing.
Okay.
Item 3C, discussion and possible action to approve the contracts and agreements for fiscal year 26. A, YMCA Camp Classing contract. B, Lobdeck Mobile Drug Testing contract. C, Specialty Care Medical Pediatrics Incorporated contract. D, Instructure contract. And E, Fowler Financial Consulting Services.
Is Lobdoc a new company that we're working with on?
It's
drug
for
testing?
staff bus drivers.
Mhm.
Is that a new company or is that the same
It's,
company?
I think they've changed names, like they may have sold out or
Okay.
something like that. It's not who we had last year, but I think they just kinda had a transition
Okay.
over, is what I think happened.
But we did have a mobile
We
drug
do,
testing.
yes, we
before.
do,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
We have to have that for our bus drivers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes sense. And then the Fowler Financial Consulting, is that new?
We did it last year. So she helps with ADPC.
Mhm.
So sometimes on the back end of ADPC, there are some problems. Sometimes we have to do some federal matching changes, and she's kind of the expert on that. And then, you know, if we run into any trouble with OCAS reporting, she can help with that. We haven't been having too much trouble. But I do recommend going ahead and having one more year of that, because if you get into a really bad situation with the accounting software, she can line it out for you. So she knows the software better than anybody.
Yeah, thank you. I remember that now. that
Yeah,
you
yeah,
mentioned that.
yeah.
Item 3D, approve the changes to the following activity fund accounts. 1, hospitality, 951. 2, miscellaneous, 937. 3, high school fund, 923. Israel Exchange Fund 974, and Elementary Fund 913.
I'm gonna talk about these for a little bit. So we have figured out that our hospitality and miscellaneous account are working pretty much for the same purpose. So we're just proposing that we combine those because they're being used for the same purpose, and the hospitality account just has a couple $100 in it, like $600 or $700 I think. And then for the high school fund, what's been happening is the Israel ambassadors have been using the high school fund, and so it gets very difficult to tell what is the high school, the parking passes and all, and AP testing, and what's the Israel money, you know, whose is whose. And so I just thought that it would be a better idea for Israel, because they bring in so much money for that project, for them to have their own account. That way Mr. Jewell can easily see how much he has in his high school fund to be able to do things.
Yeah.
So that's all that is, and we've had Miss Kelly tell us the amount that's in the proposal that is the Israel money, and we will just move that from 923 to 974 for their own account. And then the elementary fund is just a fundraiser request.
So a quick question on 974, so the Israeli account. So I did notice $29,000 in there. So since we're not going to Israel, I'm just curious about that money. What is that? Is that do we have
Well, they
some-
do a lot of different fundraising things.
Okay.
And I think that it is a compilation of fundraising for previous trips, and then keeping some of that money, like they do some, I think, whole group fundraising.
Okay.
We have issued refunds for the people who wanted a refund, but I think that's just accumulated over the years, and it's from not going on trips that they were thinking they were gonna go on. So, but as refunds are requested, we are giving them refunds out of that money.
And more recently, we've asked them to just fundraise for the main cost of hosting and the initial part that they are held accountable to. So not the thousands of dollars, but the $250 and $500 is where we're kind of saying, don't give us any more than that. Some do still because they want to keep a schedule, but for the most part, that's where we try to stop them right now. Just fundraise to that until we talk further about the trip itself. So
Right.
yeah.
So
But when
what
they-
are they
I don't feel like I
fundraising for?
adequately answered your question, Mr. Wallstad. Do you want me to get some more information on that? I
No.
can get some more clear information.
No, that makes sense. I just was
Okay.
curious. We
Okay.
have $29,000 in it, yet we're not going on a trip. I just was curious why we
Yeah.
weren't at zero. Or
It's
not everyone takes a refund, right?
Yeah.
Some say, hey, we want to carry it over. We want to
Yeah.
give to this.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we had, a benefactor that provided to that. I didn't.
We've had a couple people donate to it, but it's really through their whole group effort fundraising. They have some whole group fundraising, they do some individual fundraising, and it all goes in there, and so it's just left over from that fundraising
Mhm.
and what hasn't been refunded. But if you want more specifics, I can get them.
I don't need
And I don't
any
want
we
to
don't
give
specific
a
than that.
dollar amount, but some of their fundraising, like she said, is for the group. So if the group then doesn't go,
Yeah.
it stays in the account for future
Yeah.
groups. So I don't know if that happened a little bit more in recent years, and so maybe that's part of it. But when they do fundraising as a group instead of individually for their specific trip, and they know this ahead of time, that if they sell T-shirts as an Israel exchange program, that if they fundraise that money, it goes into that account, and if they don't go, it just stays in the account for future trips. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And what do they use the fundraised money for?
just the trip to lower the cost of the trip for the. Yeah.
So it's spread equally among all the people who are gonna go on the trip.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Item 3E, approve the financial fund reports.
So we're getting to the end of the year. Activity fund, our sponsors do a really good job fundraising, so it's pretty healthy. You are gonna see a couple negatives, like on golf. I'm bankrolling golf a little bit as they get started. They have some tournaments coming up, and so we'll get some deposits in there to cover it, but they're okay. I'm not worried about that. I let them do that. They talked to me about it beforehand. Overall, they're all doing pretty well. And then the function summary report. So right now we're showing, and I'm going to talk a little bit after we get through the consent agenda, down to having about $131,000 left to encumber, and we have some more things to do. So I'm going to be presenting a budget amendment so that we're able to encumber a little bit more. I still think we're going to be very close to that 19.5 million expenditure amount, but I just need, as we get things closed out, we've still got some things open that aren't closed, and I need some more money to encumber some of the other things we're going to be wrapping up with. But we're doing well. We're on target, and building fund is in good shape. On the tracking sheet, we are getting really close on a lot of our collections. So probably next month I'll start the plus or minus. Right now I just have it balancing to zero if we've collected everything that we were supposed to collect, because that helps me have a visual of what's left for us to collect. All of our state aid is coming in like it should regularly. We have good news. We did finally get some federal claims approved. So we got a new reviewer at the State Department, and our Title I claim was approved the first time, which is the first time in a long time that it was approved the first time and not sent back. So doing good. We're getting our collections in. The next one is just the projected carryover report, and I'll talk a little bit about it on the next item, but we're right now projecting a $4.3 million carryover in general fund and a $1.5 million carryover in building fund.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve item 3, the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call vote. Sorry.
Jaggers?
Yes.
Oh, hold on, sorry. It's out of order. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Okay.
Palmer?
Yes.
Wallstad?
Yes.
Yates?
Yes.
Pettit?
Yes.
Jaggers?
Yes. Item 4, approve the encumbrances for the general fund non-payroll 672 through 727, $133,451.09. Change orders for general fund $32,967.92. The general fund payroll 70,000 through 70,676 of $13,729,897.75. Building fund non-payroll 20 through 21, $11,401, and the change orders for the building fund $72,296.54.
Real quick question on 677. So with United Systems security network upgrades, what exactly is that? That's kind of broad.
That is the cameras in the locker room out at the athletic complex are not working, or some of them are kind of working here and there. So it's in the athletic training office or room, and then out at the athletic complex is replacing some of those. And we are using the Project 376 security grant funds to pay for that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Did you say cameras?
Mm-hmm.
Are in the locker room?
Not there. Sorry, out at the athletic
Thanks for
complex.
clarifying.
Not in the locker room. Not in the locker room at the
Around
athletic
the lines.
complex.
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Good, no.
I call it the locker room because
That's okay,
that's just the
right.
general area.
That's okay.
No,
I
no.
was trying to picture that.
No, I'm sorry.
No, okay. That's fine.
Number 708, I may have missed this one, but what does that include for Avantis?
Okay, so Mrs. Williams has, this is a Project 618, it's a special services federal money from the state and from the federal government. And she's using those grant dollars, and it is virtual reality goggles for some of the special education students and special education programs.
Oh, that's cool.
So they can do a lot of different things with that, and I think they can go on trips and do science labs and all
That's
kinds of
awesome.
stuff. So
And career exploration.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's really neat. Then on,
Yes, go ahead.
and on PO number 20 for Hayes Electric, is that what you're gonna ask about? So are we getting money back from OG&E? Is there any kind of refund for that, or?
I don't think there is a direct rebate.
Well,
It's roundabout.
It's a rebate.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a rebate, and I
Okay.
don't have the specifics of it yet, but they're going to install those tomorrow, and then
Alright.
they actually added the rebate information onto that quote. I believe it was 2,000.
Great. Thank you.
A motion.
Motion to approve the encumbrances as presented.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Walstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 5, discussion and possible action on the amended general fund budget for the 2024-2025 school year.
Okay, so as I kind of mentioned before, I'm running out of money to encumber to do some of our projects. And we have, when I made the budget and we did the estimate of needs, I made the budget way underneath the estimate of needs so that we would have a healthy carryover, and we've had more revenue come in than expected because we just tried to hold some of that, save some of that. But we've got some things like our HVAC, we have some HVAC units that are over 20 years old that we need to do, so that's gonna be a large encumbrance, and so I'm just needing a little bit more money to be able to get it all encumbered. We're gonna have lots of things that we end up closing out, so I don't expect us to have expenses of 20 million, 20.3 million, but that would just give me enough to get everything encumbered and finished out, cause I'm having to move it around in the different function codes and make that work. So really, and we do not have to go back to the excise board, because we're not exceeding our estimate of needs. Our estimated projected revenue is 22.9, and right now, I think we have around 23.7 million that we're looking at, so we are obviously coming in, a lot more ahead than 22 million, so we're okay, and I feel very comfortable approving this amended budget.
Motion to approve the amended general fund budget.
Second.
Roll call
Palmer,
vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Walstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 6, presentation of operational replacement schedule plan.
Okay, so I've given you guys a paper because I thought that would be easier to flip through. So lots of different administrators and Michael and Adam, we've been going through trying to look at replacement plans. And just kind of have an idea of what that looks like because there's a lot of maintenance that has to take place. So on the first page, I just want to, and I also we're gonna have the athletic complex project, so I wanna talk through that with you a little bit. So we've already talked about general fund, we're looking at 4.3. For the building fund, we're pretty solid at 1.564. Then if you turn the page, kind of why this matters to general fund. So I've already changed it up to about 19.7. I'm on the second page that has the list of estimated revenues and target expenses, and I showed you this kind of at the beginning of the year, but I've already adjusted, so we're looking at 23.7 million in revenue and 19.7 in target expense to give us about a $4 million carryover. And then for fiscal year 26, you're just projecting because you're trying to get an idea, but I want to explain. So looking at a revenue of 20 million, obviously we don't have the ESSER funds coming in anymore, and because our carryover is less, it's gonna show a less total revenue. And then looking at a target expense of 17.5. And so that's eliminating, we paid for the roofing project this year. We paid for half the custodial services out of the building fund this year. So we're moving some, we're not gonna have some of the same expenses, but we're also going to have to probably move some of our expenses to the building fund, like custodial, like OSIG. The OSIG premium this year was over $400,000. And because of the wildfires in California, because of the fires here, and we haven't had tornado season, I am certain that we'll probably have another increase in premium. So I want you to be aware and advised that we are probably going to have to move some of that OSIG premium into the building fund and be paid for with Redbud funds. And so for fiscal year 26, I don't have any OSIG premium going into building fund, but I do have custodial services going into building fund. And then for fiscal year 27, that's when I have removed some of the OSIG premium. Now this is all very tentative, because my guess would be that we would have more than the estimated revenue, but I'm just trying to give you like a worst case scenario. Where are we gonna be and what does that look like with expenses? So just estimating. And you can see kind of what the carryovers look like. After fiscal year 28, we start to rebound a little bit because we've gotten over the high of all of the ESSER and COVID funds and all of that. And I've accounted for certified step increases and support raises and stuff like that in that projection. And you have to take a projection with a grain of salt because you just don't know what's going to happen, but it's always good to have it on your mind and be looking at the expenses you're going to have to pull out and move around. That being said, on the next page is the payment schedule for this track project. And this is a payment schedule for if we do $1.5 million for the project. So we would be paying for that out of the building fund, and right now currently we're looking at a carryover of $1.5 million. And we won't see a whole lot of, and that is by the time June 30th rolls around when we get our second round of Redbud funds. So we're looking at 1.5 million. So we'll have enough in building fund to cover that project, but it will take most everything that we have in building fund right now if you do a $1.5 million project. You can see that most of the payments are before next January. So we're going to be expending a lot of that building fund before next January. I don't think they'll get it all done this fast because projects never work that way. But you can see, we have the potential to spend a lot of that building fund money. We won't get the next round of Redbud funds until the end of January or beginning of February. And it will be a sum of like $350,000 to $400,000 that will be left to cover, like custodial expenses or something like that if we end up needing to put some of the custodial expenses in there. And then we'll get the next batch of Redbud funds in June of 2026, and it'll be another $350,000 or $400,000. The reason I'm telling you that is so that you kind of know the outlook of our spending, but also we've put together these replacement schedules, and there are some things that will also need to be paid for out of the building fund as well as those new funds come in, if you choose to do so. And these plans are to keep HVAC up to date. Nothing on here has to be done, but it's the things that, to keep things updated and to keep things moving, I kind of recommend that you look at doing some of those things. So like for this year, we're looking at HVAC units. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Student desks, as you walk through the school, there are desks that haven't been replaced since 1997, and they're not looking so great. And so it's just a good idea to kind of have in our minds that we want to recycle some of that, get rid of some of that. And so this first page is the district master replacement plan, and it's all tentative because you may have the funds to do it and you may not, but it's good to have a plan. So that's kind of the master. It kind of looks at all the things that there's an individual page for. And if you flip the page, the first thing you're going to see is flooring replacement. And so Mr. Mont has looked at all the classrooms and evaluated all of them, and he thinks a good amount to plan for is about $30,000 a year for carpet replacement in classrooms, so that we stay up to date on that. And then as you flip to the next there is our HVAC. So after, COVID helped replace a lot of the HVAC units. There are just a few left, 12 that we're going to ask you to vote on tonight that need to be replaced that are over 20 years old. And then after that, you can see just planning to replace 1 or 2 a year. And when you flip to the next page, we have all of the HVAC units and how old they are. And so you can see the ones that are 2025 are the ones that were purchased in 2003 or 2003 models. And then we have a few that we haven't finished filling in, but that kind of just gives you a good idea of all of our HVAC units, how old they are, and kind of an idea of when they might need to be replaced. And then as you keep flipping the page, we have the parking lots. And so just looking at the cost of all the parking lot stuff that has to be done, we're looking at this year, the west lot, and we think it's gonna be $120. Mr. Mott's putting that out to bid. We think the north lot, in the next years to come will be a little bit more expensive. And then after that, the south and east lot, but it gets more just taking care of filling in the cracks and things like that. And then the next page is technology. So Mr. Forrester went through and Seth went through all the classrooms. And our technology is in a good place. A pretty standard year range for technology is 5 to 6 year replacement. And so the first one is the teacher device, the teacher laptop, and where we're at on those. And just I put a year date in there that we probably need to look at replacing those to keep them up to date. And then, so that is for the high school. The first page is the high school. The second page is the middle school teacher devices. And the third page is the elementary school teacher devices and where they're at. I just like having a list. I'm sure you guys don't want all this information, but I think it's nice to know where things are. And then after we get through the teacher devices, it goes through the high schools. Whether they have a smart board or they have a TV, what they have, known year of replacement, when we think. I'm hoping we'll be able to. We're just gonna have to watch. I'm hoping we're able to replace some of those in the high school's classrooms this year. The next page is the same. It's middle school, and just looking at an idea of when replacement might need to happen. I will say, I talked to principals about this. We have a lot of smart boards, especially at elementary and some in middle school. So everybody's aware the smart boards are double the cost of a new line board, and you have to pay the subscription for the software. There are new line boards out there that most school districts are going through or are starting to use, and they do all the same things a smart board does. They may not have, teachers might have to redo some of their templates that they have on them, but really for replacement, they're much more cost effective, and they're what most people are going to and using a lot of the time. And then the last page is just elementary. And then we have one more page. I know this is a lot of information. I gave it to you so you could look at it. It's all of our vehicles and where our vehicles are at and the replacement cost of those. And then it didn't print in color, but the ones that are highlighted, you can see like we have a 2005 van, we have a 2007 van, we have a 2006 pickup, we have a 2008 Impala, which is the security vehicle. So like there are some things that we're probably going to need to look at replacing pretty soon in terms of vehicles. We're getting in better shape on the buses. We've been buying them like they're going out of style the last couple years. So but some of the other vehicles we're definitely going to have to probably look at replacing, and that's a part of the master plan. Anyway, a lot of people went through, like I said, on roofs, going through HVAC units and going through classrooms looking at the technology, but and we have all those lists saved so they can be updated, but I think it's just good to know and have an idea. of what is coming up and what we need to know and have that written down. And I really appreciate everybody that did go through all the classrooms and get on the roof and help put all this stuff together. So that it's just an outlook. Probably the most important thing out of all of this is just know we have a $1.5 million carryover for building fund. We are, to do some of these replacement things, we will need some building funds to be able to do that. And so while if we do a $1.5 million track project, that's probably gonna be the last capital improvement project you can do for a while with Redbud funds, because they're gonna have, some of it's gonna have to be used around here. And then just save up some more to be able to do another capital improvement project. But I know that decision's probably gonna be coming up soon, so I wanted you to have all that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask questions about it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so a couple of questions I have.
Okay.
Why, so can none of this be paid for out of non-building funds?
It can.
The $4.3 million carryover?
Yeah, it can.
Okay.
And the plan would be for some of the technology. So the building funds would probably be covering more HVAC units, parking lot stuff.
Mhm.
The technology stuff is gonna be general funds. It's gonna be Title
Like
I.
Smart board and
Yes, yeah.
computers
Mhm.
and, okay.
Yeah.
I
The
had
general fund just won't be able to handle all of it.
the what?
The general fund just won't be able to handle all of it. Some of it will have to be paid for out of the building fund, and that'll be the thing, is figuring out what comes out of where and how much you have in each place to be able to do the things.
Well, so you know, like in 2025, you've got 642,000 that you've identified. And some of that we might not be able to take out of the building fund if we do the 1.5.
Right.
But we
Yeah.
could maybe take some of it out of the
General
other
fund.
carryover funds.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that would be the plan. That would be the plan, to
Okay.
take some of it from both places.
Also, so are all these vehicles now? I mean, are those all the vehicles we currently own and use?
Yes.
They all
And we
work?
carry insurance. Well,
To varying degrees.
the condition of them would be questionable.
That's in the
Okay.
manual.
The condition of them is questionable.
We were driving.
The vans are a little rough.
The vans are a little rough.
The vans are.
I can see that.
The condition of them is probably not the greatest.
I'm also quite amazed at how many HVAC units we have. Are those all on the roof?
Those are all rooftop units, yes ma'am.
How many are there? It looks like there's like 100.
I wanna say 124, I don't know an exact number, but that's
Wowza.
gonna be close to it.
That's a lot more than I could have imagined. But I guess we've got several buildings, and is this also including the facilities, the athletic facilities as well?
That does not, no.
No, it doesn't. It's just these buildings.
Correct.
One thing I'll add to your point about the 1.5 million, when we look at this between now and next month with Troy Roads and Lingo, what Dr. Jasper and I've asked is to have a range of options that we will take into consideration as we consider all these things as well. So the 1.5 is the highest amount that we would look, but what we hope is that we actually have some options to say, you know what, we can do without this, or we can do this a little bit different. They're gonna give us those options. Our hope would be, honestly, as close to 1 million as we can be with that track and bleacher project, so that we have some of this. But as we talk about that between now and next month, that is something to consider, because everything we spend out of that up to the 1.5 is something we can't do here, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, we're not voting on. It was just giving you information, just giving you information.
Yeah, thank you. Item 7, discussion and possible action to accept the bid for Hardesty team to replace 12 HVAC units for the Earl Harris Elementary School.
So we would be planning to do this out of general funds, and as a part of that $4.3 million carryover. It would go, obviously, I'm trying to hit a target of 4 million for our carryover, so that'd be one of our big projects that we do with that remaining $300,000-ish.
Quick question, what's the difference between base pricing and bid pricing? Or alternative pricing and base bid? I don't know.
We did a bid price for just 6 units,
6,
And then
okay.
the alternate pricing was for an additional 6 for a total of the 12.
The additional 6, okay.
We didn't know how much it was gonna cost, so we had them do 6 and then at 12. Had them give us 2 options.
And one person didn't want to bid on 12, they just wanted to do 6?
No, I think are you looking
Oh,
at
did he?
A&M?
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to do 12.
Oh, that's, okay.
And he had given me a price for the 12.
Mhm.
Oh, he just bid it at 12, yeah.
I make a motion to accept the bid from Hardesty Team for HVAC units at Earl Harris Elementary School.
Second?
Roll call vote.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Item number 8, discussion and possible action on the 2025-2026 temporary financial appropriations.
So this is just to get our year started. We have to do it every year. We have to send this to the county excise board and they approve us so that we can get our budget started in the new fiscal year. And it's based on our estimate of needs from this last year.
Motion to approve the 2025-2026 temporary appropriation.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 9, discussion of the revisions of the following board policies, FFFD through FNG. FFFD, vehicle use and parking students. FFG, reporting suspected child abuse and or neglect. FFG through E, suspected child abuse report form. FL, student records. FLR, compliance with.
You don't have to read all
Okay.
There's no vote on
I
this,
also
it's
saw-
just
thank you.
discussion.
Starting to run out of breath.
We're not voting on them, are we?
No, we're just,
So I'll go over a couple of these. If you have questions about any others, let me know. I will say, happy to report, we have one more set after this that we'll be bringing to the board next month. And then that following month, we'll be working with OSSBA to finalize them all. And the goal would be in June to be able to propose the whole policy book. So we are very close. Thank you, principals and administrators, for helping with all of these. Couple I'll point out here that you might be interested in. FMFE is a code of conduct for athletic programs. It's just something that I think you might be interested to take a look at. We really enjoyed seeing that and having that as a part of our policy book. FNCA and FNCA-R just has to do with dress code. And we did add a section that deals with clothing normally worn for extracurricular activities can be worn with approval. So whether it be uniforms or things like that, that wasn't specified in some of the language. FNCC has to do with hazing, and this is a new policy for us to have that in the book, which is very good to have in our book. FNF-E2, that there's one clarification. It says it leaves blank, like who will transport materials. That would be Officer Holcomb. We'll put that in there just to let you know who that would be. And then FNG is cell phone policy, and just know that there's some legislation out there right now, so that may change, but that's as it is now. So and if you have any questions about any of the others, there's some obviously some big policies in there as it relates to bullying things, but a lot of those are straight out of law and similar or exactly what we have now as well. But if you have questions about any others, let me know.
All right, item 10, discussion and possible action on the addition of a high school academic team starting in the 2025-2026 school year.
All right, we're really excited about this one. I don't know, Mr. Nyberg, if you have any additional information.
Well, Mr. Jewell and I have talked several times about this, and I think we've been doing it, but just not in an official capacity, and didn't understand why we don't have it. So we feel like, we really feel like Blue Ribbon School should have an academic team.
Absolutely. Motion to approve the additional high school academic team starting in 25-26 school year.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 11, discussion and possible action on 11th and 12th grade students receiving credit in math and science for math and science courses offered at Canadian Valley Technology Center.
So this is just an accreditation item to have for accreditation. So pretty standard.
Motion to approve the credit in math and science courses offered at Canadian Valley Technology Center.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 12, discussion of student vaping.
All right. I've asked the principals to just give us a little bit of an update. Obviously, last year we had some goals of just vaping in our schools and how we could try to help students with that and what we were seeing. So I've asked them to kind of give an update on what they've seen over the past year and a half with this. So.
Yeah, I'll go first. I want to say thank you to you guys for approving vape detectors. It's one of those things where it's kind of like an unseen situation. When we were growing up, it used to be regular cigarettes, and it's easy to tell. You have to light something on fire, it's smoke. Nowadays, vapes are as small as your pen, and they're really easy to smoke, and the smoke is smokeless, and you can blow it in your hoodie or you can blow it in your bottle, and you don't really know there's a problem, even sometimes in class. And so when we did this last year, it took a leap of faith to trust that there was a problem and to acknowledge that. And I would tell you, when we first met and we had this conversation, my phone, it sends a message every time. Like, for example, before we met today, my phone was going off in the new bathroom. And so I got out of my office, I was in my office, I walked right to the bathroom, I looked in there. Well, nobody was in there. Well, what was going on? Miss Douglas had been popping popcorn or something, and that smell went in there, and it's very sensitive, but it really only goes off for vapes. Popcorn's a little different because it's burning the popcorn anyway. Not to get too far in the weeds, here's the point. The point is this: last year at this time, I would have approximately about 16 to 20 vape alerts per day. And that's boys, girls, didn't matter if it was typically in the high school. Occasionally middle school would get one here and there, or the annex, but nothing very really. Right now, I get about 1 to 3, maybe. Like today, I got one right before here, and I went in there. Nobody's even in the bathroom, but Douglas was popping popcorn. That would set it off. We just don't get them. Kids know. We hold them accountable. We try to teach them very early and very clear. If you do this, this is what happens, and we're not going to tolerate it at school. We just won't. And I think they've gotten the message. We're going to still continue to do our process and our procedures, and your guys' support matters. And we've added, extra vape detectors in the alternative school, in other locker rooms, and we do our same protocol. If a kid gets caught or if the vape detector goes off, we grab them, we take them to the front office, we scan them with a metal detector wand, we ask them if they do find something, they immediately go to consequences. But we also have counseling now. We partner with SNU, which is another thing you guys approved, which is another big deal. If it's THC, we want to get them support, even nicotine, get them support where they have to have some help, because it's addictive and it's bad, especially for these kids, every kid around the state, but specifically ours. So that's my report.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Bellows for that.
No, we had a conversation, and having heard, because I kind of, hey, give me an update. What are you guys seeing? And it was very small numbers compared to what we had last year, and just wanted to say thank you to our administrators. When this first started, to say it kept them busy is a complete understatement. In fact, if you go out in the lobby area now, you'll see there's 2 podiums out there that are kind of set up right in front of the restroom area and in the commons area, because they realize they're presence and being there, even during passing period. I mean, they're gonna get work done, so might as well do it out where the kids are. So they've taken a lot of steps, not only the vape detectors, which is a huge part of it, but also being present, being in the commons area where kids are coming out of the bathrooms. And so I know I've talked to kids who a year ago said, you know, I don't want to go to the bathroom. You know, I know what happens in the bathroom. And I think that's completely changed. And so I wanted them to be able to tell you guys just that progress, because it's really exciting. It also comes from the education that we had at the beginning of this year, which I think is a huge part of it too. Kids are talking about it with us before they're talking about it, you know, amongst themselves and hearing who knows what. So there's a lot of things that have happened. It's been a lot of work, a lot of time. You know, when you're getting text messages 16 a day and you're responding to each one of those, it can take a lot of your time to get that down to 1 to 3 or whatever, you know, low numbers. Now it's much more manageable, and ultimately, not saying that kids don't figure things out, and they're, you know, maybe they're doing it outside of school still, and we hope not. We hope the education piece, and we do think it's helping. But they do know, hey, it's not something you bring into school. And I'm just really proud of them for getting it from that point to this point in just a year and a half. So thank you for the update.
Item 13, discussion and possible action to approve the revisions to board policy EA, general student policies.
So this is a current policy in our current policy book. This was a policy that we already approved at the beginning of the year, but there were changes to it in February based on a rule that was instated since then. So again, this is accreditation. That's just something we need to have updated since it changed since that time. And it just has to do with the moment of silence and how we observe flags. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the revised board policy EA, general student policies.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstone,
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Item 14, staff reports.
Enjoyed seeing the aviation stuff that you sent out to us. That was fantastic. And what the kids have done for SWAT week is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible.
The halls have been transformed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need to take it down.
I know. I'm so sad.
Not yet.
Yeah, no one wants to do
Hours
that.
and hours of work.
Do we have a total yet on how much money was raised?
Yeah, right. Currently, they had right around $7,500, but there's still money being brought in as we speak with hat passes and car passes and all the things. So I don't have a good estimate of what it'll be, but we're still working. We'll still try to raise money throughout the rest of the year for them.
That's great.
I love to see things like speech and debate, some robotics,
Yeah.
recently.
It's awesome.
You know, you a lot of places excel at things, and you just know like that they're going to be good at that. It's neat to see a variety of programs, doing well, and I mean you just see kids getting first place in their region at speech and debate, and robotics in a national competition getting third. It's really cool to see just all the programs that aren't as don't get as much publicity and things. They're out there doing well also. So.
I wish I had somebody still in elementary so I could come to family fun night. It's the funnest night. I loved it.
We're having a lot of creativity. Like a lot of our teachers have really tried to look at, okay, what can we do to make it different? Still keeping some of our things in PTO. Even today we met, and some of the items from like even sports at different levels, and like trying to get a lot more prizes for bingo. Like just seeing how excited they are to see like how can we keep the heart of it fun but make things unique. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be a really good year.
Yeah, it looks like it will be.
Item 15, proposed executive session to discuss the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of an employee as listed in addendum A and B as authorized by 25 OS 307 B1.
Motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstead,
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Pettit,
Yes.
Jaggers.
Yes. Executive session, only the members of the board and the superintendent were present. The only items discussed were those listed on the agenda, and no votes were taken. Do you have a motion?
Read 16.
I make a motion to approve, am I right?
Yeah, I'll read it first,
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
That's item 16, discussion and possible board action on the hiring of personnel in addendum A for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years.
Now I make my motion to approve addendum A for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Item 17, discussion and possible board action on the resignations and retiring of employees as listed in addendum B for the 24-25 and 25-26 school years.
Make a motion to approve addendum B for 24-25 and 25-26 school years.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Palmer,
Yes.
Wallstad,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Pettit.
Yes.
Jaggers,
Yes. Item 18, information items.
Yes, so we would like to say congratulations to Mrs. Krista McCann, our Teacher of the Year for Bethany Public Schools. She'll be a great representative for our whole district. Also, we have high school prom and no school on April 18th. The all-school musical, I know they're working really hard right now on that, is April 24th through the 26th. Susical. And the all-school cookout will be at lunch on May 7th, and we would love to invite the board to attend that if you have the chance to as well.
Item 19, board member comments.
I just want to say thank you to our administrators for all that you do, and glad to have you back another year.
Item 20, superintendent report.
All right. I want to acknowledge the hard work that went into our district SWAT week last week. I know some activities are continuing due to weather issues that we had, but just very impressed with the students' efforts, working with staff. Also love that it's still has become a district-wide initiative, and that all schools are working together for a common goal and common purpose, and that those purposes are local and people and causes that we know and want to invest in. Also want to thank our district test coordinators and technology staff for preparing for our ACT testing and state testing that is coming up. This is a chance for our students to demonstrate their learning for the year and just their progress, and a lot goes into setting those up, so we appreciate that. We have some upcoming events. It's hard to believe that we are in the final few months of another school year. It's been filled with a lot of things to celebrate. The number of things that continue to come up are just continually amazing. But this is also the time of year where we have our promotion ceremonies and award ceremonies and graduation. And so we're looking forward to concluding the year with those celebrations among all the other things that we've had to celebrate. I was also able to speak at the City of Bethany board meeting the other night, and just thank them for all the partnerships that they've had, whether it be roads or just improvements around our building. Another one that I was thanking them for is the improvement on some sidewalks that we have coming up, and that's actually a partnership with Southern Nazarene University, the city, and Bethany. And we should see some of that work start to happen as we go into summer and into next year. And we've got some missing pieces to some sidewalks as kids come in and around our school and from our school to their homes. And so it's just nice to continue to be able to work with the city and Southern Nazarene University and other community partners on projects like that help our schools. We'd like to also thank our administrators for the day in and day out work that they do. The ways that they support teachers, the way that they support kids, the way they communicate with parents, and doing all those things. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to do it the right way, and we certainly have administrators who know how to do it the right way, and our community is the benefit. So thank you all for that. And also want to thank Mr. Nyberg and Dr. Jasper for their time and commitment to Bethany, all the things that they've done in their time here. And also want to thank them, you know, in their willingness to help us as we transition. And it's just really special to have those types of relationships that we can continue to help Bethany grow together. So appreciate them and their time, and look forward to continuing to work with them in those transitions. And that is my superintendent's report.
All right, we're adjourned.